Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. British heavyweight David Price has announced his retirement from the sport. So you can see here on screen a post to social media, and actually I heard a little clip on a video on another YouTube channel a day or so before this came out. So I had actually looked around for some news and there was nothing, and then obviously it started to get out that Price had decided to hang it up. So he says, word is out that I've hung up the gloves, so I better confirm myself. It was a great journey. I hope I entertained, but the time is right for me to call it a day. Boxing is a tough sport, and I've got out the other side. There's too many people to thank for their support and input: family, friends, trainers, managers, promoters, opponents, and my fans. I owe you all. Thanks, X. And you can see under that, Nathan Gorman wishing him the best. So too manager Sam Jones, Matchroom, all the best in retirement. A number of boxers are doing the same, including a few who shared the ring with him. Cash Ali, all the best. That was quite an infamous fight. And actually, that's sort of, not infamous, but there was always an air of drama with a lot of David Price fights. For maybe 3 or 4 years, there was a stretch of his career, especially after those losses to Tony Thompson, that you didn't actually know what you were going to get with David Price. You know, from about 2015 to about 2019, there was a period in time that Cash Ali, Tom Little, Sergey Kuzmin, Alexander Povetkin, Christian Hammer, those sorts of fights, and famously knocked out by Erkan Tepe. Tepe later tested positive for PEDs. But in terms of Price, I know a lot of people will say he didn't deliver, he didn't perform, he didn't live up to expectation. But sometimes the weight of expectation is too much. But Price had that sort of mix of skill, power, linked with a suspect chin and a suspect gas tank. And we saw in some of these fights that I just sort of named, they could turn on a dime. I mean, one of a fight that probably a lot of people either didn't see or really haven't sort of thought too much about more recently, the Christian Hammer fight from 2017. That was a fight where Christian Hammer was starting to put it on David Price. Against the run of play, David Price drops Christian Hammer, and you think, okay, he's completely turned this around. But within maybe a round or so of that, it just all fell to pieces for David Price. And like I say, you never knew what you were going to get with Pricey. And obviously more recently, he had, I mean, and that goes to for the Alexander Povetkin fight. Povetkin was a huge favorite heading into that one. David Price was able to clip Alexander Povetkin, what was it, in the 3rd round, and Povetkin was held up by the ropes. He actually, did a little sort of dance across the ring, couldn't get his balance, and careened into the ropes. Ultimately was given a count, but not too long after that, obviously clipped with the left hook and stunned and then brutally knocked out. The Sergey Kuzmin fight, for example, that one shaped as a real crossroads fight for both guys. But as we found out, after 3 rounds, David Price retires in the corner. 4 rounds, I should say. There was a right arm injury. And that was a case where he went in injured, but decided after that 4th round, okay, he'd had enough. He didn't want to risk it any further. They went in injured and decided, okay, we'll see how it goes, and it didn't hold up. And I think that left a little bit of a bad taste in the mouth to some degree, like it was, they took the payday knowing that probably he was not going to last, especially if it went any length of time. The Tom Little fight ended in slightly strange circumstances as well. You had the case of David Price catching him with something and the referee very quickly waving it off, and Tom Little protesting very loudly. Who could forget the Cash Ali fight? Obviously, that's a situation where Cash Ali is remembered for all the wrong reasons, because he had a little bit of success against David Price, but it was mostly one-way traffic in that, and Cash Ali looked for a way out, started biting David Price. ultimately he was disqualified in the 5th round of that one. Dave Allen, I guess that sort of that fight there proved levels, because heading into that, David Price, and we're talking back to 2019 now, so more than 2 years, and it doesn't feel like it was that long ago, but it is. But that was a case heading into that, based on the sort of run of form David Allen had been on. It did shape as looking like a somewhat competitive fight, but Allen just wasn't big enough, skillful enough to deal with David Price, who kept him at the end of a jab, a stiff jab that just pummeled Allen all night. And David Price landed basically all the shots in the book. And he was just punishing Dave Allen to the point. Effectively, after 10 rounds, Dave Allen was mincemeat, and the fight had to be stopped, and Allen had to go to hospital, and that prompted Dave Allen to retire for a spell. In terms of that other fight, the final fight of his career, against Derek Chisora, someone that he was friends with, had been a pair of in the heavyweight division for years and years and years leading up to that. It was a relatively good fight for as long as it lasted, but ultimately stopped there in that 4th round, a stoppage loss. Maybe not quite the sort of fireworks that people were expecting or hoping for, but ultimately he just wasn't good enough to compete with Derek Chisora for more than 4 rounds. But I guess a lot of people will feel a little bit disappointed with the way that his career panned out. So much promise. I mean, there was a lot of people, especially early on, declaring David Price the next big thing. And I know some people may scoff now and laugh and, have a chuckle and all that sort of stuff. But a guy who, heading into the pros was an Olympic medalist, who was actually, powerful, had a big right hand, 6'8", you can't teach height, good skills. There was a lot to like. It's just that he just couldn't really sort of put it together in the pro level. He reached a certain level. I mean, I think you could say he sort of got to European level, not really fringe world level. He sort of fell short of that. I think Tony Thompson at the time, he was pretty ancient when he fought David Price, and obviously that was against the runner play. That first lost in 2 rounds, rematched him. It was only a matter of months apart, and same result. Obviously that famous quote, where does he go from here? But from here, retirement is beckoning, and David Price, I have no doubt that we will end up seeing him doing some television work, be it for BT, Sky, DAZN. He will find a place somewhere, I think. But good luck to him. I think sometimes these guys do hang on for too long, and I think it was a case Price had indicated previously. He was still looking for the right fights, right opportunities, and that basically meant the right paydays. But I think for him, good on him. I think he's called a day on his career at the right time. And if he's not feeling it anymore, doesn't have the motivation, because it's a very tough sport. So David Price retires with a record of 25-7. Maybe didn't deliver to the level that some people believed that he should have. But you can't say he wasn't in entertaining fights, and you can't say he didn't sort of bring that air. Like I say, there was always an air of what is going to happen. Is he going to knock someone out or get knocked out? You just couldn't get away from that with David Price. Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.